Okay, we're taking stats. That's all well and good, whether it's by our voice or by tapping on the screen. But what good is that to us? How can this help us in the moment when we're standing there on the sideline and we need some help making decisions? Well, let's take a look at some of the in-match tools we have. So if I pull up the simulator, I've added a few extra points. I've captured a few extra stats. Again, still just attacks, blocks, serves. So not the full picture of everything, but I'm getting a really good idea of where points are coming from. And like I said before, where we're losing points. So on the on-court screen, this is where we capture all of our stats. In the summary, this is where we get a bird's eye view of what's going on the court. I've got a box here named after Terry Liskevich and his last 5. He likes to take the last 5 contacts that a player has had and get a sort of snapshot of what their performance looks like over time. We can see that Wes has erred on every single ball that he's attacked. Barbara has done really well and is killing the ball 75% of the time. Marta, like Wes, is sort of struggling a little bit. And then Rhea and Red are both kind of dead even. If I tap on Terry's last 5, it'll show me the passer rating if I'm capturing that. It'll also show me the serve rating. So maybe I'm coming into the next game thinking, well, who do I want my first server to be? Well, right now, Red, Marta, Barbara, Laura have all kind of served relatively tough, whereas Wes isn't served as tough, and then Rhea has just served service errors. So maybe I want to start with someone else. So that's a very quick look that I can take just to have an idea of who's hot and who's not. The green will help you decide, oh, cool, this is a person who's hitting well. And then I also have a quick snapshot of the rotational performance here. So we can see what rotations are working best for us. Right now, rotation 2 and 5 look like the winners for me. I've got 2 kills in rotation 5 and 2 kills in rotation 3. Whereas in rotation 1, when the setter's serving, and rotation 6, this is the USA version. Again, I've mentioned you can switch that, so this would actually look like rotation 2 if you're outside the US. We're -1. Now, some of that minus is going to come from service errors from that rotation and not just attacks. In fact, if I want to dive a little bit deeper, I can go and tap on this button here, and this will show me the rotational performance in a little bit more depth. So I can see and a rough idea of who's in what position. If I've got subs in and out, it'll show me the last set of players that were on the court. But I can see that we've got our errors here and here, and then we've got our +2 here and here. And again, we've kind of evened out in the other rotation. So 1 point and 1 error. I can also filter this by looking at just attacks. So then that changes the numbers a little bit. So this seems to be our stronger attacking rotation. Whereas this one's just a little bit behind. Now, these aren't a lot of numbers to go by. But by the time I get to the end of a match, right now it's 8-6 in this match, we'd see that the numbers add up to something a little bit more. I can also include attacks plus blocks. These last 2 items on the tab are just excluding serves, because serves might skew the points a little bit, especially if we have one server who just goes back into serving aces. That's going to make it look very, very different on the plus-minus front. So we can analyze the points by rotation. We can also analyze passing by rotation. I'm not going to bother with that because I haven't been doing passing stats for this match. And then I also have a look at the current game that I'm in. And if I were in game 2, I would see game 2 here and then game 1 over here. And I can see the score. I can see some of the key stats like you might see on the TV screen where we've got kills, aces, blocks, digs. You can also track opponent errors, whether they're service errors or other errors like hitting errors. And I'll show you in a later lesson how to set that up as well. And we can also have a look at our attacking efficiency, our serve rating overall, side out points, and break phase points. So are we scoring more points when we're serving or when we're siding out? Below, we have some other stats as well that we can work off of. That top block, though, that's going to be your main decision maker when you're sitting there in the match. When I'm going into my next game, I want to try and get my point scoring rotation in as many times as possible. So I want to make sure that I prioritize that when I hand in that rotation slip and say, yeah, actually, I want to start in rotation 3. And then we can also see very quickly, we have Athletes Unlimited leaders, where we do a bit of math like they do in the Athletes Unlimited Pro League, where certain actions get you certain points or certain penalties. We can see ace leaders, and we can also see error leaders as well. So we can keep an eye on players who might be making a few more errors and might need maybe just a quick timeout, bit of time on the bench to make sure that they get rested, get their head back on. You can have a chat with them and then send them back out there. So that's the summary. If you want live stats, you can also tap on this tab here, live stats, and you can see that a few players are highlighted in orange. That means that they have 2 errors, because it's a little bit of a warning sign for me. I know I had an assistant coach for one of the national teams a long time ago who said, look, 3 errors, take them out, sit them on the bench, get their head back on, and then put them back in. So this just gives you an idea of, okay, these people are in trouble, so we might want to think about taking them out. And we have the different headers up here. We've got our serving first, followed by our attacking. And then we've got reception and assists and blocks and digs, and the errors for those 2 as well. We also have a little summary at the bottom. And when we have more than one game, it'll also give a match summary to show you how many errors are piling up in the different categories. And if I go back here and we imagine that we're passing the ball and the set goes out to Marta and she gets her 3rd error, you'll note that I get a little red badge on the live stats tab. And if I were to tap into that, I can see that now Marta's gone red on the screen. And that is the indicator that, you know what, I might need to pull her out just to get her to reset. Again, you can also get to rotational analysis from here too with this button. And then the other thing you can take a look at is in the game graph area, we can have a look at, just like we see on the television a lot, the flow of the game. So here's us on the bottom in the blue. And we can see that we went on a little run of points here, and then we were trading points again, another run of points. And if I tap on any of these, it'll actually break down what happened in that rally. Now, when we're taking full stats, these will be pretty accurate because we'll have everything from opponent errors to our own errors to pass, set, hit, and we'll have all the different components that make up a particular rally. And we can tap through these by tapping on these arrows here to get an idea for just the flow of the match, what's happened when. And if you want a slightly different view of it, we have this look as well that'll just show you how far above or below the bar. This is always good, of course. If we're going above the bar, that means we're scoring more points. And when we drop below, that means that we're losing. So these are some of the handy tools that you can use in the match to make sure that you're managing it and on top of things. One of the other tools that I'll use when I'm in the match is just for my own sanity. I will keep track of my own timeouts just by tapping this button up here. It lets me know that I've just got my 2nd timeout left, just so that I don't run into any issues with delay of game cards because I tried to call a 3rd timeout. Of course, you can always ask the second referee, how many timeouts do I have left before trying to ask for a timeout? And then if I am keeping track of the score and some action happened that doesn't increment or change the score at all, I can always hit the plus button to change my score. And if I realize that I've made a mistake, I can double tap on the number and that will just subtract 1. So there's a handy way for you to be able to manage the score, just to have an idea. I know we've had the case where we've had a really small scoreboard or no scoreboard at all. So I'll be calling this out to my players on the court just to give them an idea of where we are in the match. And it's also just good for me to have a quick look down and know at a glance where the score is at. So those are some of the handy in-game tools that we have. When I'm done with the game, I'm going to hit end game. And that'll kick me back to the original scene that I had where I have my lineup to set up. I might spin us around and say, actually, we're going to start in rotation 3. And go. And then when I'm done, say we just only played one game in this particular match. We got called early for some reason. I'm going to hit end match. It'll ask me to confirm, and when I hit end match again, that's when I get the full summary and I can go have a look through everything we did in this particular match. You can see I'm relatively happy with this because we were +1, more points than errors. We have our game breakdown, and if I tap on this chart, I'll get the text breakdown in case the chart's too difficult for me to read. And we'll go into more stats like this when we get to the practical coach.